Good morning, everyone. Today is May 21st, 2021. This is StockCast, your pre-market show. My name is James Mason. With me is Todd Derby. Todd, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. Doing actually really well. I'm watching one of my tickers go to the moon.
Yeah, so everyone, I'll just show you the charts real quick. So we've been watching this one. Todd's in this. Todd, what's your average? Like 27 something?
27.53.
All right, 27.53, and it's back to pre-market highs. And we'll have to see what this EE indicator ends up showing. It started flashing there for a moment, but that candle just opened up. So this is ticker ANVS, and honestly, this is not an alert, a call out or anything. This is just one that he's already in. So everybody jumping in short this shit right now.
I did alert this earlier. I've been kind of banging on the table for this for several weeks, and so I think there are some members that are in this with me, and I've trimmed a little bit of my position, and I've taken some profit. So this is probably one of the heavier tickers I've been in the last few months, and I've already put 2,000 in the bank, and I got a couple more orders here, small orders, partials pending. So hope to get this over $40 and have a nice payday.
Yeah. But man, what a nice run. It's crazy that when did you sell off half your position? What?
I sold it was 200 shares, sold 25% at $33.50.
Man, I told you should have held off. I'm actually the one that told him, like, damn, Todd, I'd take half of my profits right here or something.
No, it's okay to lock in some profits. I mean, right now I've got unrealized a little over 4,000. So I'd like to see this break pre-market high of 37.90 again, and hold on to the market. We might get a push at the market. This is a real low float, so this would be one to be. If I was watching this and I wasn't in it, I don't think I'd even short it, because this does have the potential to do something crazy with this low float.
So we are setting up with a bearish divergence on the RSI right here for anyone watching. You can see that RSI had pushed up really hard, hit a high for RSI at 95.37, which would have been the high of this candlestick, and that value would have been 36.60. And then we hit a pre-market high of 37.90 with a lower high for the RSI. So once you start getting setups like this with the RSI and the candlesticks, meet this criteria where higher RSI and then you have a lower candlestick value, and then the RSI makes a little push up again, and it's a lower RSI but still over 70, but then the PPS value had broke higher than this value back here. That's what you call a RSI divergence, bearish divergence.
So just for a trading strategy, the next time this flashes a sell indicator on the TTBB exits, which is flashing right now, if it closes out here, I'm going to take another position off the table here.
All right. So currently for the pre-market, Dow futures are up 138 points, S&P 500 up 14 points, and we are looking like we'll probably have a solid bullish day. Shit, it's Friday. What's probably going to do is come out pretty bullish and probably have a nice little run, and then probably sell off and lose all those gains. So just enough to kill your premiums on your contracts and screw up your weekend a little early. There's your dose of positivity going into the weekend. All right, so let's take a look at ticker METX. This is a pre-market runner this morning, METX. This is a Chinese education stock, and last update for their short interest is we'll round it up to 1.6 million shares being shorted, 6.3% of the float. Shares outstanding, 64.3 million. The float, 24.8 million. And their news, the reason why they're making this bullish push this morning is they reported a 1,900% increase in gross billing and 758% increase in students enrolling into whatever business program this is for. One weird thing with these Chinese stocks is, if you notice, a lot of the Chinese education stocks over the last few months have just been really taken off. And to be honest with y'all, I don't really know why. I've never actually looked into why the Chinese education market is just so hot. I mean, obviously because of probably everybody kind of getting back into a normal routine in life after the whole pandemic, and then how many people are actually, in China. I mean, that could hold a large influence on it. But again, like I said, I haven't really dug into it onto why. But let's just take a look at it overall. So right here, pre-market, this range right here at $1.66, you can see that we actually broke above it a little bit. This is a pretty tough resistance for this ticker. Personally, what I would look for, or what I would like to see with this in a picture perfect world, is this not to make a push up again. I'd like to see this just kind of not die off, but pull back to about this 150 range, maybe the 140 range, somewhere in there, and just kind of go sideways and slowly make its way back up, and then break it later on, break above 166 later on. But since we actually created a pre-market high above it, I'm going to move this value up to 172. That way we are above that pre-market high, and maybe take off a little bit more. Now let's look at the daily chart. So here is our line for 172, and you can see, actually I'll change that color to make it a little easier for y'all to see as I talk about it. So change it to this blue line right here. So if I back out, you can kind of see where that blue line just goes across my chart, and breaking back above it would signal that shift in momentum and start changing it from this downward trend and turn it back around to make a little bullish push. Now, this ain't something to throw all your money into, and a few reasons is, one, I mean, while 64 million shares are not a lot, and I haven't dug into the financials here. I don't know what kind of S3s they have, when they've had them, or any other forms. And that's just what we need to know before we kind of really go in heavy into this. But 64 million shares isn't necessarily a lot. I do like that share structure. I would be okay with that share structure. But at the same time, it's also hard to have like a true hardcore catalyst with the education stock. I mean, it's just not something that people really get hyped up on. No one's saying Chinese education stocks to the moon. Also too, I mean, if we look, we do have the TTBB entry and exits indicator on the daily chart saying downward trend. But they did release that PR this morning, and that is pushing a little bit of FOMO into this. Now, what I could see happen is if this would pull back more, pull back more, it potentially could come down here and test this lower $1 range. And as you can see, that would be the low right there on that daily chart. And this would create this little double bottom and then bounce and then actually take off running later. Really, just to get these shares for cheaper, I would selfishly like to see that. And again, this is just something that me personally, I would probably take just 1,000 shares max for me. This would really just be playing around with some money. But if it did pull back, I'd just take 1,000 shares and just kind of let it do its thing. Now, if we don't have this thing to pull back overall, and if it would break above 172 again, I'd probably keep a decently tight stop loss. That way nothing crazy happens against you. But that first target price, actually it wouldn't even be a target price. But if that first little range that I'd kind of start getting a little trigger happy and wanting to put a sell order in at would be if it breaks above 230. And if it broke above 230 and started hitting that 250 range, what I would do, I'd just put my stop loss in at 230. That way, if it did pull back, I could catch still decent profits, roughly a 50-cent move. And truly, my first target range would be about 285. And what I would do here, how I'd handle this is just, if we broke above 230 and say if it went up to 250, I'd just move my stop loss up to 230. And if it just kept wanting to push up, I'd slowly just keep moving my stop loss up. Usually, probably about for every 20 cents it would move up, let's just say hypothetically, I'd probably move my stop loss up 10 cents. That way I could just keep choking out my profits. But this is ticker METX, and overall, I just don't really see this one taking a huge run at least yet. I mean, something could always happen, and we come up here and test this 200 EMA around $4.50, but it's going to get rejected and come back down if it did. So again, that's ticker METX. So let me just run through the comments really quick. Let's see what we got going on.
Someone asked about VVPR yesterday, and they're asking again today.
VVPR?
Victor, Peter, Robert.
Let's look at it. All right, so this is ticker VVPR. Like Todd said, Victor, Papa Romeo. Last update, short interest. We'll round it up to 40,000 shares being shorted. So nothing there. Shares outstanding, we'll round this one up to 17 million shares outstanding. The float, 5.6 million shares. And let's see what we have for the news. Okay, I see a couple 6K filings, but this is just one I haven't really looked into lately. But looking at the technical setup, this thing being a super low share structure. Let's see. So a true breakout range right here would be right at 950. Now we are sitting at $7 pre-market. What's gonna kind of be edgy here is how this 9 EMA is acting around this 200 EMA. We can see the struggle of it wanting to stay above it, and it finally broke down. Now we're just honestly not sure if it's going to actually commit to coming back up and making this push. What I would kind of be afraid of is it coming up here and really just faking us out. And actually, breaking above that 200 EMA, momentarily. And with that range right at 950 being that little breakout point, that's also a strong resistance. I would kind of be scared that this thing would come up here and maybe even break above that 950, but quickly get rejected in that range and just pull back down. I mean, look how long we've been above that 200 EMA, and we made a strong push up. Like I said, I haven't dug into the financials here. I don't know if you have any solid catalysts on their books yet or whatever is going on. But I mean, we've already made a strong bullish push, and it's tried it multiple times. So honestly, I think this thing is just going to dance around that 200 EMA on both sides of it, and then break down a lot more, and then possibly downtrend those lower dollar ranges. So once again, like I said, I haven't dug into this company to really see what's going on with them. This is just looking at a technical setup. So this ticker overall, it's really a coin toss for me, if I was just going to be honest with y'all. And I say that because of how it's just functioning around that 200 EMA line. Like, there's just a lot of indecisiveness. It really can't make its mind up on where it wants to go. So if I had to pick one side or another, I would pick very short-term bullish, and if this was one that I jumped into, which I don't have any intentions on jumping into it, but hypothetically, if I jumped into it, say right now, and if it did push up, even though that 950 is that breakout range, I would kind of be skeptical of it and probably consider taking my profits, because I would be afraid that it was going to just get rejected between that 950 to 1130 range. And don't get me wrong, that's still a nice profit, but in the context of like seeing this thing actually start to make a push and run, I just don't see it yet. I mean, it's been tried it multiple times, and now it's probably going to just cool off. But if I had to choose one side or another, I'd say short-term bearish, short-term bullish, but overall bearish. But that is ticker VVPR. Let's see what's going on in the comments. Oh, so Neil Kirby, those emails coming from me if no one answered. Scott Adams, sorry, my man. GGII, that's OTC, baby. I don't mess with that crap. Let's see. I'm just running through the comments, reading what everyone is requesting. Let's take a look at ticker PINS. I've not looked at Pinterest in quite a while. All right, so here we are. This is Pinterest. There's really no sense in me going over the share structure here since it's so significant. All right, so everybody knows who Pinterest is, but what I would look for is so I just changed my candlesticks to the Heikin-Ashi candlesticks, and we can see the entries and exit indicator is or has just rolled over yesterday to show a bullish signal right here. Now, what I would really look for and wait for is to see this 9 EMA curl up and actually cross back above that 200 EMA. Now, since this is the first time that Pinterest is actually coming down below that 200 EMA, I would kind of expect it to, let me go back to my normal candles. I would kind of expect it to break back above it and make a little push up here, somewhere in this range between between 70 and we'll just say 78, and then get rejected and then come back down and just get hammered. So again, before I would even try to go long in this, I'd wait for that 9 EMA on the daily chart. So currently that value is, let's see when the market opens up. But at this moment, the value for where it closed out yesterday, that 9 EMA was 59.56. That 200 EMA was 61 and 6 cents. So we need to see that 9 EMA physically cross back above that 200 EMA. Probably get that little bullish push and see if we can't catch it and take a ride up to about 70. If we break above 70, I'd put my stop loss in at 70 at that point and not let it go back under without taking profits. But if it did break back above 70, that channel between 70 and 78, that's where I'd say it's going to dance around and then overall get rejected and pull back down hardcore. So that is ticker PINS. So, Todd, that is all I have for today.
Me too. I'm just focused on this ANVS trade, watching it closely.
All right. So when in doubt of what to do with your profits, when in doubt, throw it into POAI. Just kidding.
No, you're not.
All right, guys. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry for starting up a lot later today. It's all Todd's fault, even though I was actually late before talking to Todd. But hey, can't take the blame for everything. All right, guys. So y'all take care, trade safe. It is freaking Friday, and you know how crazy the market can get in general, especially Fridays. Don't start your weekend into a bad weekend. That's the last thing you want to do. That creates long weekends. So I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in, and I will see y'all in the next one.